Are you in a position where you're defined by your age, and that's limiting you to pursue a dream or goal you want to accomplish? The More Than Your Age podcast is about having conversations with women who fully live their lives without being dictated or defined by their age. This is a space to encourage women who feel blocked to pursue a dream or goal based on their life circumstances. Welcome to the More Than Your Age podcast. I am your host, Erica Pasvar. Let's start living life fully and become more than your age. I love when I leave a conversation with a guest feeling 1,000% more fired up listening back to it than when I was 1,000% fired up the first time. You are going to get that this week, so buckle up and get ready for an incredibly inspiring woman. But before we start, you've heard me say this before, but the More Than Your Age podcast has merch. Yes, you can sport your More Than Your Age podcast shirts or mugs or hats and wear my favorite, You Are More Than Your Age shirts. They're so cute. I absolutely love them, and you will love them too. And if you need some cool ideas on simple or extravagant things to kind of step outside of your comfort zone or try something new no matter your age, like learning a new language, taking a fun trip, going on fun adventures as a family or with friends or by yourself, or all the above, head to the More Than Your Age favorites tab on the More Than Your Age website, www.morethanyourage.com. You will see some companies that I personally use and others that I'm an affiliate with. And you just may find the next thing you're looking for. This is a way to step out of your comfort zone and you can support the show. Now, back to this week's episode with my guest, Willow SE, episode 101. Enjoy the show. Willow SE, we have been waiting for a very long time to get you on. I've been looking forward to this interview for such a long time since we connected roughly 3 months ago. I can't wait to hear your story. Welcome to the More Than Your Age podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I've been looking forward to it since the day we met.
Yes. And the listeners need to know, poor Willow, we were just having issues with her getting able to log in. So she's been doing this for over almost an hour and 15 minutes, maybe 20, because you were on just a little bit before I hopped on. And so we are adjusting, but I am so thankful that you are enduring the frustration of logging in. Willow, before we get started too, will you share your age with the listeners?
It's something I don't normally share, but yes, I will, because it's just between you and me and them.
And we're the More Than Your Age podcast.
I'm about defying age, to be honest with you, but I'm 60 apparently.
I love it. Well, Willow, you are the lead singer in a rock band. You are also a part of an acoustic duo. You do some acting. You also model, and you are a coach and a mentor to the youth. You are doing a lot of things that the average 60-year-old doesn't or wouldn't do, and I am just beyond thrilled to hear your perspective. We chatted briefly back in January, and you shared so many profound things with me. Your outlook on aging, supporting women was really just a key indicator that, I mean, your what I knew of your story was exciting. And then hearing your voice and hearing your passion about supporting women and encouraging women in their age and the aging process just told me you would be a great fit for the More Than Your Age podcast. So you grew up in Wales, but you moved to Australia. And shortly after moving there, you became a single mom in a foreign land.
Yes.
Without any support.
Yes.
Or family nearby. It was just you and your daughter.
Yes.
But you couldn't leave.
I couldn't leave. No, I couldn't leave. So without going into too much detail, the courts decided that I had a choice. I had a choice as either I could go back to the UK on my own and leave my daughter, or I'd stay in Australia and have access to my daughter. So for me, there was a no-brainer. I was going to do everything to be with my daughter. So I was put in a position where really my rights were taken away from me. I had no choice but to make a go and thrive in a foreign land on my own, because you do anything for your child.
Yeah,
And it's a privilege, it's a privilege to be her mum.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
because you didn't have, like, you were going through such a I mean, so many things. You're in a new country. Relationship ended. You're now have to stay there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to be with your daughter. And you
Yes.
had zero support. So how long did it take for you to meet people and get that support? What did that look like?
Yeah, and also finance as well. I lost my home and lost my finance as well. So I've obviously also experienced homelessness as well. Yeah.
Oh,
So, gosh, it's interesting, isn't it? I think when you're put into a situation like that, your survival comes into place. You kind of figure out, like, I'm going to make this work somehow. I'm going to have to make this work. So it calls on you to dig deep within you to find ways of surviving. So I think, one of the amazing things that came from an experience like that, although it was incredibly hard, is that you find a strength and you find a fight in you that you never maybe had experienced before, a sort of passion and a strength grows in you, that you kind of go, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And I will take risks and I'll find courage to make, in order to protect my daughter and, yeah, make it work. Does that, yeah.
hmm. So you also said, you lost your home. You were homeless. Where did you live?
So for a while I was on people's couches, then eventually I got sort of a rental, which I had to sort of change my rentals quite often for reasons I won't go into. So what did I do? I think one of the things, if you're in a foreign land as well, it's very much up to you to go and reach out to people. So I made a very conscious effort of connecting with people. I used to kind of walk along the high street and look for jobs, like just knock on doors of shops and everything. I just did everything and everything I could to try and find some income. And I guess what happened over time, I did various different, I probably had about 3 or 4 different jobs. I did anything I could basically to thrive. And I think one of the things that it eventually does, you start to kind of go, okay, what can I do in this situation? What have I got within me that I can offer other people? What can I do? And I've got an experience working as a teacher. So I started working a bit in schools, but also I started mentoring and coaching young people. And that sort of opened up. That's actually been amazing because that's opened up and developed over the years. And that's one of the passion of mine, is to actually help, and women as well, that are struggling, that need to find their voice, find their power, people that are struggling in life, because I think I'm using my skills and experience to try and help them. So that was one of the things that happened, is I started developing this coaching and mentoring. And then I had an opportunity to audition for a band. And again, I gave it a go. So it's kind of, I think when you push to the edge, you can you have to make a decision and a choice as to, are you going to you've got nothing to lose but to try. You've got nothing to
Right.
lose but to take risks and put yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You, you said you were living on different people's couches, and you had to make friends, and because it was a place where you didn't know people, where did you go to find your first friends and to meet people? And
Well, it's a great question. So, I mean, through my daughter's school, so I'd
Mm.
do some volunteering. I'd go and invite people to go and have a cup of coffee. I'd join groups, often free things. But I think it's all about, you have to put yourself out. So it's not like, there's no point expecting people to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though you're the alien in the community, in a sense. I think it's very much about, if you put yourself forward and you put yourself out and you reach people and you're friendly to people, then don't expect people to come to you. Make the effort, reach out. And I think through that, and through the school and supporting her with her dance and schooling and just being really sort of friendly, I started to make connections and friendships.
How long do you feel like it took you to really have a core group, and however big or small that was, but a core group of friends that felt like family or that you could really trust?
I think it took a couple of years.
Mm.
I think it took a couple of years,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
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 I like how you said too that you were the one in a foreign land and you were the new person, but you were the one who had to initiate and take the step out there. That's so applicable, period, for making friends, but just in anything that you do in life. Because I feel like I hear in the season of life that I'm in with friends with younger kids, they'll just say, "Oh, it's so hard to meet people and make friends, and no one invites me." And sometimes it's no, you got to be the one to do it, even though that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, you can feel a little bit sort of like, oh, hang on, I'm the foreigner here, but it's just not going to get you anywhere, is it? It's just like if you reach out, if you're friendly and you're kind and you say, you connect with people, it's amazing. It's amazing what can happen.
yeah.
Maybe, and that by you being friendly in a sense, they're kind of like, oh, that person's okay. She might be British, but she's still okay. Just invited me to the park, or, yeah. I think it's about, I think you've just got to keep reaching out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that a lot of your rights were taken from you, which is why you're passionate about your age and empowering women. The first one we talked about was the fact that you couldn't go back to your home country. You had to stay put in order to be with your child. What were some of the other rights that were taken from you that you feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I guess that's a sort of human right, isn't it? If you're actually not able to go to your homeland
Yeah.
and bring up your child in your homeland, and not having a choice about it, I think there's also in that situation as well, you lose your voice, and so I felt very powerless. I felt very powerless because there I am. I'm in a foreign land. I don't really have at that point very many rights, and also a voice. It was very difficult for me. I wasn't able to really speak out. I had to sort of toe the line in a way in terms of the courts. So I felt that it was very easy to sink and disappear in a sense in a situation like that. So how I found my voice, without going into too much detail, is through creativity. It's by helping these other young people, but also through creativity. So I wrote a poetry book because for numerous reasons I had to be careful about where I was. I had to sort of change my name as well for security reasons. So
Mm.
I wrote a poetry book because I love writing and I've written poetry for years. And I thought it was one of my projects. I thought I can I can say things in poems. I can say things through words that I'm not actually be able to say in the community. And that was an amazing outlet where I could still, as a woman, have a voice and say things, but through words.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful because you just said that you weren't able to say things that you wanted to talk about for the court reasons and with the people in your community. So all these friends that you've worked hard at building these relationships, I'm assuming they didn't know all this that was going on
No,
because wow. Yeah. So yeah, you didn't have a voice because you need friends to talk to about when you're in a low point and having a hard time, but if you're not able to share with them, and so that's where you did decide to put into the poetry. Do people now know, like the people in that, I guess, area where you're living, do they now know the poetry you wrote or the things that you went through, or is that still kind of separate?
that's a very good question. I think that there's some things that people know, but I think it's a very difficult. I mean, I think when you experience certain things in life, it's unless it's very hard for people to understand unless they've gone through something like that.
Yeah.
Don't you find it's very
Mhm.
difficult to walk in those shoes? So really, in a way, there's not a lot that you can share. You can share little bits, but most people, you don't want to put it onto them. And also, I think it's very difficult to understand if you're not in that situation, it's to comprehend it. So in a way, it's kind of like thinking of not burdening people as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. And then I could also see, I mean, it's you don't want to burden, but it's also being really vulnerable. And you also don't know what some people might do with that specific information. It's scary.
Absolutely. And no, you're very wise. That's absolutely true. You've got to be very careful what you say and to whom. So I think basically, there's a tremendous amount of stoicism that's required to get through trauma. And being in a situation like that, you have to be fairly self-contained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why the creativity was so fantastic. So I had this poetry book published, and I did the photographs and everything for it. And that was a tremendous outlet, because I was, as I said, I was expressing through sort of imagery and things, but it was sort of subtle, but I still got the message across. And that for me was like a woman, where I felt very much as a woman that I wasn't equal in that situation. And to be able to express that was the start. And then I had the opportunity with the singing, and that was sort of a similar call, really. Is suddenly I can actually start singing, and it was stepping out a bit into the public as well, which was sort of getting out into the spotlight, but still like singing through passion and emotion and connecting with people, but kind of
Yeah.
again through song.
Yeah, it's a different form of creativity, but also poetry and music is there's so much heart behind that. And so you did have this opportunity, which is very fascinating, to audition for a band. It presented itself. So I want to hear how that came to be.
Okay, so one of the things I was doing to keep myself like sane and to kind of get through being alone, being like so incredibly alone, was writing and was singing. So every night I would spend 4 hours singing,
Really?
really. And one of the things I did, so after the poetry book was published, that was a start. But I also realized that I wanted to make noise. I wanted to connect with my singing. My ancestors were singers, and I had this real call to find my voice. Again, it's all very symbolic. I found a singing coach, and I broached the singing coach, and I said, "Look, I need to make sound. I've been silenced, and I don't know how to make sound. I'm so repressed vocally. Can you help me make a sound?" And this guy was like, "Yeah, I work with like really cool professional singers." And I'm kind of standing there, and I'm like, "Yeah, but can you help me?" And he did. So he kind of helped me open up my voice, and it just went from strength to strength. I suddenly found that my voice was actually quite okay. It was all right. It's quite nice, all right. And so then every evening I would then go on an app, a karaoke app, and sing for three hours. And it took me to this beautiful place. You know, I think it's so important that we go to these beautiful places, particularly when we're going through life challenges, isn't it? To find an outlet and a connection where you can go to the other place, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I found a place of beauty. And then I was getting some nice responses on this karaoke app from people around the world. And I was sitting with this group of people I didn't really know very well. And these guys were talking about forming a band. And they said, "Oh, we're going to audition for a singer." And like they had this email. They said, you know, if you know anybody or whatever. And I got this email through, and they said, "You were looking to audition a female singer." And I remember sitting there going, "Look, there's no way. Who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? But I'm going to do it anyway because I've got nothing to lose.
Yes.
I have nothing to lose. All I've got, it's just going to be embarrassing." So I remember next day I was in a coffee shop with a friend, and I said, "Look, she said, what are you up to?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to audition for a band." She said, "Like, you're absolutely nuts. They're not going to want you. You are, you know, they're going to want some 22 and hot, and you can't even sing properly. So what are you doing?" And so I remember kind of just sort of sitting back and kind of feeling like wounded. Um,
Huh.
but there was that like feistiness of kind of going, "I'm going to do it anyway."
Mhm.
I didn't say that to her, but it's just have a go. So I auditioned, and they contacted me, and then they said, "Look, could you just send us a resume of what you've done before?" And then they were sending their resume. They'd worked in bands, and they'd done this stuff since the 80s and 90s. And I wrote back and I said, "Apart from being in a choir, I've done nothing." And it was so vulnerable. I was so vulnerable. I was like, what are they just gonna like? No way. I mean, who does that? And I got it. I got to be a lead singer.
That's so amazing. It's amazing. Well, and Okay, I feel like you told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you were 55 when you auditioned, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you're 55 years old and you're having coffee with probably more of an acquaintance, right?
Indeed.
Um, now, and you say, okay, your friend probably doesn't know you've been doing this karaoke app and
Fair
singing
enough.
3 to 4 hours.
Hmm.
And you say, okay, I'm an audition. And their response is, yeah, they're probably going to want someone younger. So not encouraging. And then also, you probably can't sing anyway. So they've got their own issues, right? And then unfortunately, that's the mentality of a lot of people.
Indeed, it is.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people will say things, negative things that linger a little longer and they stick with it. I mean, that obviously has stuck with you and it probably will forever. It's stuck with me. I remember you telling me that. And I have asked other people in other interviews, hey, I heard this story and she's coming on the podcast. I want to hear your response to that. And so even though in essence, we may disagree with them, they can still taunt us. Did you find yourself after she made those or he, I don't know. After this person made the comment, second guessing your decisions based
Oh,
on,
absolutely. 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 I mean, that I think, it's a reminder to all of us in the sisterhood is that, I totally believe in the sisterhood that I'm here, and obviously you are, to make a difference, to support other women. And, it can be so helpful if you can say words of encouragement and you can support your sisters in following their dreams or just having courage. And I think I use that and sort of try and be very mindful that I do that for other women. It's very passionate for me that when women say, whatever they're saying, that it's just like to let them, give them that space and that encouragement to say, go for it, give it a try, go for it. I actually
yeah.
can remember that person turning up at my first gig and she came up to me and I don't think she meant it. I just think that it was it's that sort of programming of women can't do this stuff, I think. And she just came up to me and said, I'm so nervous for you. She said, I just think you can sing. I'm just really embarrassed. And I kind of had to dig deep and kind of go, I've got to go and do this and then sing. And sort of later on, they said, oh, actually, that was quite good, wasn't it? um, but I guess that was maybe her programming that,
Yeah.
that we're knocked down and we're kept down and certain things are not possible.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely a negative mindset, which is why I think our conversation and conversations like this are really important so that if someone is listening and they have that same mindset themselves or they feel that way about themselves or projected on other people, that it can help them turn the page and realize, wait a second, 55 isn't too old. Oh, somebody wants to audition for a rock band? Let them. If they get it, amazing. If they don't, at least that they tried and had that opportunity to pursue something that they want to do. And that's exactly what you did.
Yes, you're so right. You're so right. I think at the end of it, you've just got to find something within yourself, whether it's dogged determination or whether it's, to me, a part of it is taking a step as a woman. For my ancestors, it's sort of like if my grandmother could go through 2 world wars with 8 children and losing her husband and in abject poverty, that in my mindset was like, well, you just keep going for it. You just keep taking a step forward for women, for
Yeah.
feminism. I think that's a thing. I think that's a thing. Is to give it a go. Is to find that into yourself for their sake. They didn't have a voice. A lot of these women. They were a lot of women in my past. If I look back at the lives they had such hard lives where they really just had to toil and be quiet. It's sort of if I've got an opportunity to try and take this a bit forward and express, it's not partly for me and my daughter, but a lot of it I've got this feeling about for my female ancestors.
Right.
This really feels very strong. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense to me. That makes that makes complete sense to me. And you bringing up your ancestors because I think I skipped my question that I had regarding because I remember what you said to me, and I'm gonna go back up and try to find it because I want to touch base on that because it was really important. Yeah, very important for you. Back to when you were struggling and even just in day-to-day life, you always remembered your ancestors. And I'd love to hear even more how they would play a role when you did feel like giving up and quitting. And even now pursuing the things that are hard. I'd love for you to just share a little more that you would love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, well, grandmothers on both sides had a tough. My father's mother died during childbirth, so she
Oh,
never got to live. She never got to be a mom. She never got to fulfill her life, and I guess that's in my DNA somewhere. And also, my maternal grandmother, as I said, she went through 2 world wars, lost her first husband in the First World War. Her second husband died just about a few months after she gave birth to her eighth child. So she was just abject poverty. And I used to wear her ring. I had my grandmother's engagement ring as one of these things that I had. And I remember wearing that, and that was so profound. Just to keep looking at her ring and saying, look what she did. Look what she did. Like, it's not that bad for me. And I used to find that sort of would encourage me.
yeah.
And again, because I've seen so many women, or known of so many women in the past who didn't get a voice, who have
Yeah.
been silenced, whether it's my family or other women throughout the world. And I feel that. I feel that. So it's like, well, come on, do your bit. Be for them, for me, but for them. And it was the same. It's the same when I did my first runway. I'm kind of walking along this runway, going, "How the hell? What the heck?" And I remember it was just like, "Hang on, I'm 58 during Melbourne Fashion Week," and I kind of walked into this beautiful building, this exhibition centre in Melbourne, and being completely intimidated. Like, I felt intimidated a lot, and I've kept walking. So don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely terrified a lot of the time I've done this. And I remember kind of walking along, sort of seeing this runway, and we got to the back, we got to the makeup area. And there were these women I'd seen in magazines in sort of the 80s and 90s. So we're going to be walking, and it was just like, holy crap. Oh my gosh. Okay, what am I doing here? You know, imposter syndrome. And again, this thing, I got this voice that told me to go and sit down. So I went and sat down sort of in a corner, and it was like, yeah, you're doing it for you. Because now I've been silenced. I haven't been able to be visible for many years because of the circumstances I've been in. So A, it's for me. B, it's to be a role model for my daughter. But my goodness, it's bigger than this. You're doing this for women that don't have a voice, who are not seen in this world. All those women that never get to be seen and heard, and particularly when you get older, that's what who you're doing this for. So the ego, it was beautiful. I was liberated. So when I kind of walked down the runway, it was for women. It wasn't for me.
hmm Yeah, that's a pretty powerful, just a moment of realization, thinking, oh, what am I doing in here? There's all these people they know what they're doing, and, younger women and all this stuff. And then just realizing, no, this is for me. This is for my daughter. This is for my ancestors. This is for women in general to realize, hey, I'm doing this for you. Like, we matter. We're of importance and we matter. But okay, so 58, was that when you first started modeling? And if so, I would need to know how the modeling happened.
Oh gosh. So I had an opportunity when I was much, much younger. I won a competition in the 80s. And then I didn't really have the courage. I was so shy. I missed an opportunity that I could have taken.
Hmm.
And I never really, I sort of regretted it a little bit, but, got involved in other things. And I think it was about around the time of 55. My daughter was probably about 15, 16, and she'd been broached by an agency quite a few times. And she said, look, Mom, I'm 16. Can I 16, 17? Can I start making, or 18? Can I start making some inquiries? I think she's about 17. And I said, well, okay, I'll support you on that. And she needed to lift. She needed a lift,
Yeah.
going through very difficult times together.
Yeah.
And she said, look, would you apply as well? And I'm like, yeah. She's young and gorgeous. She is. And long legs. And, does that, I said, oh, yeah, okay. All right. So she applied. She went through this agent. She was getting all this positive feedback. And I contacted this agent, and she replied and said, come to meet me. My daughter had been signed with an agent before, about a month before. And I turned up. She said, "Oh, I think, maybe I'll take you on your books and we'll start working with, classic aged models." So I was like, okay. And nothing really happened for a couple of years. And I was doing all my millions of different jobs, my writing, I do massage, I do energy healing, writing, anything I do to bring in money,
Yeah.
to make life work. And it was really strange. I hit another homeless patch, and I was on a couch at someone's house, and I remember getting very low at this point. And this is actually true. It's a weird story. You probably want to edit it out, but I was sitting on this couch and I saw my little trolley bag, and I thought, oh, okay, I need to do something. I need to do something. I'm going to go and visit my friends in Melbourne. I've got to go and do something. And it was like I got this sort of message: go to Melbourne, go to Melbourne. So I contacted my friends. Look, I've got this cheap flight. I'm coming over. And she said, great, just come over for a few days. When you get stuck in something, you have to change the energy. You have to do something sometimes. Just do something. And I packed my bag and I got to the airport. And this is on a Thursday. And I got a call from my agent in Adelaide. And we'd had no work to say, an agency in Melbourne has seen you on our website. They want to see you tomorrow, but I'm going to have to tell them you're not going to be able to go. I was getting on a plane to Melbourne that night.
Wow.
So I didn't really know, I wasn't. So I rocked up at this agency and they said, look, we are interested in developing our classic aged, broadening, becoming more diverse. And would you like to be pioneering in big
Oh.
classic, one of our guinea pigs, they said. I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. And it's from then that started opening up sort of more and more doors. So it's weird. Just once they took me on their books, then sort of acting started to come up and modeling gigs started to sort of come up and come into my life, and it sort of opened a bit of a door, really.
Wow, that's wonderful and so fascinating. And I love that it was your daughter who encouraged you.
Yes, it was my beautiful girl.
She loves her mum.
Oh, I'm so proud of her. She's
Oh,
incredible.
I bet you were.
She's
I bet you
incredible.
were. So, okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but you shared with me that with modeling, and you also shared just now too, that you were confronted with the thoughts of, what am I doing here? How can I be here? And like, especially that first runway where you said, okay, I'm doing it for all, myself and all these other people and these women that are out here. This is about you being the face for women your age or older who often get overlooked. What have you seen that has been extra difficult for women getting overlooked due to their age?
So oh my gosh. I think there's an invisibility. So I don't think of myself as being 60. I'm baffled by the fact that I'm 60. I feel 30, apart from life experiences. So I don't sort of align with a number, an age, number one.
Yeah.
I think it's just there's an invisibility. You just notice that it's very strange. You suddenly don't get noticed or seen. And it's kind of hard to explain. It's even like if you're lining up at like at a cafe and you're ordering a coffee or stuff, before people would sort of engage, or you can get overlooked, or you're in a shop and they'll go to somebody who's younger, or it's kind of a bit imperceptible, but it's just a feeling you're no longer, or in fact, the options are not available anymore, or in fact, you can't be attractive and older, you've got nothing to offer. Suddenly, if you're not this perfect Barbie doll or whatever, there's no value. You don't really have value in the world anymore. Do you want more
Yeah.
examples?
No, that's great. I was just thinking that it's just, I mean, I see that as well. And it's just really sad. And I'm hoping, I do. I see that just even with lack of respect towards just an elder population of whoever. And I know some cultures value and respect the aging process and people with the wisdom years or the class, whatever, however you want it to be labeled. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's sad. Something though that I think I liked what you said with me too. So, you were the guinea pig, as you mentioned, and you're modeling with women your age and younger than you, or people who are in the same age category, but they want to look younger. And so they'll do things to their face. I don't know, maybe in the modeling, but women in general,
Yeah, they do.
my age
Yeah, they
and
do.
even 20-year-olds now are doing things to make themselves look younger. And, the reality of gaining wrinkles and looking older for women can be difficult for most, which is why
Absolutely.
the
It
skincare
is.
industry is so booming. You said you have a real face, and I love that. So how do you embrace the wrinkles and the changes in the hair and body changes, especially when you're surrounded by an industry that highlights
It's a
youth?
great,
And
I think that's, you're very insightful. You're very insightful. You are around people who necessarily are having procedures, and because we're so fed that that's how we're meant to be now, that we're acceptable if we have a smooth face and big lips, and we've nipped and tucked, that means suddenly that you're okay as a woman now if you can keep looking like this acceptable, which is actually a very bizarre, contorted way of looking at human beings, isn't it?
yeah,
It's confronting and it's difficult. Sometimes you kind of, I did something. Oh God, if I did this, if I did that, could I get more work, or would I feel better if I, because we're human. We're all vulnerable, and we've all got our securities and insecurities. But there's something about being who you are, and you know, a face tells a story. A face tells a story. And if you remove the story, then there's no story. There's no we I think it's really important. And I think that we're just being fed what's acceptable, and it's not, and it's fake. It's
yeah,
fake. You see people who are 90, and I think they're beautiful. Like, I think every woman's beautiful, actually. I think every single woman on the planet is beautiful. We're just told that we have to be a certain way to be accepted. But I think that's just brainwashing. I think it's brainwashing. Plays into our insecurity. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, as a role model for my daughter, I mean, whether she decides to go down that path in her life, she's got a choice whether she does or not. But I think as a mum, I don't want her to think that mum's only going to feel okay if she has procedures. She'll only feel good about herself. Haven't we got to be feel good about who we are inside? Like that. It sounds really corny, but isn't the self growth? It's who we are inside, because that other stuff is never going to make you feel fulfilled or happy or
right.
contented or empowered or grow.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not the real version of yourself. And even if there's something, we all have our thing, but even if
Sure,
it's
sure.
it's
Yeah.
it's because it could be something else. And I even heard someone, I can't remember where I heard this, but they mentioned that it can be easy, whether maybe we don't compare ourselves to another woman, but we compare ourselves to the younger version of ourselves, wishing that we looked like ourselves 10, 15, 20, 30, however many years ago. And the reality is we're not going to be that woman. I mean, ideally we're changing and growing, but physically
Yes.
we just we won't be her, and we have to be okay with that. And I love that you said it's a real face. And I'm so glad you mentioned this too, because I found this in one of your a Facebook video reel that you were a part of, getting your hair done, I think it was. And you had said a face is a face and it tells a story, and there's so much to that. And I just loved that because it's so true. And your story has so much power in it as well. And I'm like listening, I'm just like, yes, 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 Willow. And when I went back to listen to our notes that we had voiced back and forth, I was just like, Willow, she knows what's up.
Work in progress.
We all are. But okay, so you also touched base as well that you mentor and coach young people who are broken, helping them find a voice. Kind of back to because you for so long did not have a voice. I'd love to hear more about your business and anything that you want to share with the listeners too of your passion with working with young people.
Young people and women. Yeah, I think I love working with young people. I love working with women. I think shouldn't say think, I feel to use my life experiences, to use my pain, things that I've learned, things I've gone through. And sometimes it's hard to make sense, isn't it, of the things that we go through or other people go through. And it's how can I use this? How can I use this to make a difference? How can I use this and turn this into a positive? 'Cause I can't fix some of that stuff. I can't go back and change any of it. It was harrowing. It was harrowing 10 years. I can't change any of that. But what can I do? I can actually maybe, because I know what it feels like, I can connect with people because I know what it feels like. I walked a lot of this myself. So if I can help somebody to find themselves, help them to find themselves, help them to find a voice, help them to find power within themselves and love for themselves, then it's kind of worth it. It's like it turns things around, doesn't it? So yeah, I really love that work. I really love it. I do.
It's important for the youth as they're growing up to have somebody who gets it and looks and for them to look up to and know like, hey, she's been through something maybe similar, maybe completely different, but she knows how to go through hard things and you're
Yeah.
there to help them. And kind of back to your story too of trying things and like you mentioned you slept on people's couches, so you were homeless. You went through some really hard things. So much was taken away. You weren't able to go back to your home country for 10 plus years or 10 years. I mean, just a lot had happened. And then at 55, you decide, I'm going to audition for a band. You were writing poetry shortly before that. Then you get an opportunity to model, and then that opened doors to acting. And this is, 55 plus is happening, doing all these really cool things. And I want to ask you my final question, which is the question that I ask all my guests. If you could encourage one woman who does feel blocked or limited to pursue a dream or goal based on her age or a life circumstance, and you fit both, where you had a life circumstance and you also started new things at your age, what could you say to encourage her?
Oh, I'd say, my darling sister, my darling sister, find your courage and do it. Jump off the cliff. Jump off the cliff. Take the risk. Do it. Don't listen to anybody. Do it for yourself. Do it for you. Do it for you. Go for it and do it. Take the risk. Have courage. Absolutely.
I love it, Willow. I'd love you if you want to share with the listeners where they can find your band or
Oh my
the
goodness.
duo or any of your print work. Or
Wow. Okay.
you got a runway show coming up. Can we fly to the UK?
Yeah. So I've got an Instagram page called Say Willow Willow. That's my Instagram page. I'm updating some of my other things because I've got a lot of different things happening. So that's sort of my modeling poetry page. My book is on Amazon, my poetry called My Almost Heart. It can be bought on Amazon. And I'm writing my book. So I'm actually, I'll let you know when that's published.
Yes.
A book on survival as a woman. I'm working on that as well. And they can DM me, so they can message me. I've also got an email account. So if anybody was interested in coaching, they contact me through that as well. I'm just here to help. I want to help as many people as I can and inspire them. For goodness sakes, do it. Girlfriend, please do it.
I love it, Willow. Your positivity. I love your perspective on everything. Thank you for enduring a very frustrating hour beforehand to get us to do this interview. And this was so worth it. And you are going to continue to inspire and impact so many women. So thank you, Willow, for joining me today on the More Than Your Age podcast.
Oh my God, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Okay. Love to all the women out there.
And I can't wait for this book.
I'll let you know.
Yes.
I will.
I'll let the listeners know too that I'll put everything that you have now on the website or on the show notes, your website, your link to the book and to Instagram. So thanks again, Willow.
Please reach out to me. Please. I'd love to meet you, see you. Thank you.
Absolutely. If you were encouraged by today's episode, like and subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. You can find me on all of the socials at More Than Your Age. Keep striving for your goals, live fully, and we'll catch you next time on the More Than Your Age podcast.